Welcome to today's community chosen video, The Power of Your Imagination. We are going to unlock and uncover the hidden depths of your mind. Now, as I was deciding what direction, what theme to take this video in today, I realized that it's really time to explore and share the depths of my consciousness journey with you. And truly how I know and I have experienced the power of my own imagination as I went through this amazing journey over the last 7 or 8 years to uncover the depths and the layers of my own mind. So this isn't going to be your typical manifestation video. And I've said this before, I'm not your typical mindset or manifestation coach beyond the physical character themes that I've explored as an investigator and a personal trainer and a nutritionist and a Reiki grandmaster. They're all part of the journey. But this isn't because I read some Neville books or listened to some lectures or listened to other YouTube videos. I want to convey to you the depth of the wisdom and experience that my character has experienced, that what I'm bringing here to you as my understanding, so that you can realize what layer you're on, where you're at in your journey, and what you're ready to unlock and become more and more aware of, because awareness is key. The key to manifestation is how aware are you right now, and what are you aware of? Who are you aware of being? But when you're in the character, or we'll say the human being, right, before you found this manifestation thing, what you would say is the me. We're going to take you from the me perspective of the character in the show, the movie of your life, to the I perspective of the higher self, the inner me. And I know when we say higher self and inner me, for some reason going up seems weird, but all of this is happening within the bubble or the snow globe of your consciousness. And it wasn't until I started to give myself different perspectives, because I was always an adventurer, I was always an explorer, and I've always been investigating the truth. What is the truth? Because growing up, I never felt like I really fit in. I always felt like I was on the periphery. Just even some simple things like, I don't like coffee. I don't like to drink coffee. And I feel like in a world that is like enamored with coffee, you feel like you're this outsider looking in, but it gave me a wonderful perspective, because then it gave me the perspective of when I know that I'm in my chosen reality versus one that I'm exploring from the outside in. So I would always question, like, why are all these rules and laws, and why are certain things illegal? And I always would joke as an investigator, nothing's illegal until you get caught. So if it's not illegal in your own mind, it's not illegal. So, and one of those things would be like psychedelic drugs or weed. Like now these things are commonplace because we've up-leveled our consciousness that is no longer afraid, because we're in a reality where there's mind exploration. So as I started my consciousness journey, not only from the human perspective of repetition, which I always say is the lowest form of manifestation, are you willing to at least do the repetition while the magic is happening? There's certain higher states that you achieve naturally just by breathing deep. That's why we explore here the 0 point, the now moment. And you can get to 0 point many different ways, but the most powerful one is through the breath. And that's why I keep coming back to that 0 point. And I say to you here, everything you want is beyond thought. Because once you can pull yourself out of the story and you go into these higher levels of consciousness, the higher you go in consciousness, you got to let go of thought. And there comes a threshold, because the mind has layers. So if you're in the thought layer now, what we call thoughts or echoes here, to get to the next layer of mind, you have to go beyond thought, beyond words, beyond language, which is your native energy, because of the fact that when you were born in this human body, you didn't understand language. You didn't understand words. So you existed in fullness of where you came from, and all your needs were met for you. So as I go into this exploration of these higher consciousnesses, and you let go, if you go to that next layer of mind that doesn't have thought, where you're the pure observer, and you walk around this beautiful physical 3D world, you begin to understand there's a template. So I'm going to kind of break it down. And this will most likely be more of a synopsis video because there's a lot we can unpack and discuss here. So I started exploring consciousness first through meditation. And most likely, like you, it was guided meditations, music meditations. But eventually, I realized that the lower mind likes to be entertained with words and music. That if I really wanted to get past that, because it's fun, like anything new is fun, and then it becomes normal. And then you want to explore something different. So then I went to meditation and without words, just silent meditation, shutting down the mind, not deliberately shutting down the mind, but when you start to go to 0 point or meditate and there's words coming in, if you don't engage with the words, eventually it becomes silent and you get to go to those next levels. Just like if you're on a DMT trip, and if you've ever heard stories about a DMT trip where you get to the point where you're shot out of this body and you're shot up. And a lot of people talk about a shared experience of clowns or jesters or some types of entities that just do random things. They laugh at you, they dance, because you're getting to the level of a boundary of mind, a layer of mind, and it has its boundaries that in order to go to that next level, you can't go unconscious in the story. So you have to stay really conscious that they're just there to entertain you, because a mind that's being entertained is unconscious, not so much closed eye and you can't tell what's going on, but you're so absorbed in the entertainment that's there in front of you that you forget you're this conscious creator in that now moment. So if you get entertained by the clowns or the jesters or whatever shows up at those levels, the mind knows that the substance in your body is going to wear out because it's very short-lived with DMT, and you'll be shot back down here. But when you go up there, if you can stay conscious and remember to tell those entities to part, move, so that you may go through, it's very similar to the Moses story of coming to the Red Sea and having to go through and telling the Red Sea to part. And it did. It's like that level of conviction of knowing who you are, that there's nothing in the physical world or the mental world that you can't immediately command and it listens to you. And that's where my consciousness journey has taken me, to that level of certainty and conviction. And that's why, as the Invincible CEO, welcome to our channel, Wish Fulfilled Playground, that my purpose and passion is to help you get so clear in the now moment that there's no doubt in the choices that you're making, because the choices that you make are the assumptions that you're operating in, and they will be your wish fulfilled. So as I started this journey through breath and meditation, first meditation, then breath work, and I was really excited because then I would put my physical body through different stressful things. Stressing out the body is another way, to, extreme running, hot yoga, extreme temperatures, to the point to see where the echoes come in, where the contrast comes in and says, you're hurting yourself, you're harming yourself. There is no self, but each layer of reality, consciousness, has its gatekeepers. Not that they're out to get you. It's just when they show up, you're at the boundary of the next level. So after that, with the wonderful partner that I have now, we were able to start exploring substances such as mushrooms and LSD and DMT. And I haven't talked a whole lot about this. Now, I will say I don't suggest that anyone do this. I'm just here to share my experiences of what I've experienced in this journey between microdoses and megadoses and everywhere in between, probably close to 1,000 trips. When I tell you I've explored consciousness, I have explored consciousness. And whether it's breathing, extreme stress on the body, meditation, a substance such as DMT or LSD or mushrooms, to me, they're all vehicles that get you to the same place. Some just are able to get you there a lot quicker than others, but it also depends on the mindset of you, the explorer, because whatever is in your mind prior to taking a substance will have some effect until you get beyond that. So it's not the substance itself or the activity itself or the combination of a substance, because then you could take mushrooms and breath work and bring them together. So they're just different cars that you drive to get to the same place. But what's important is when you're there and you start to uncover these layers of reality. And it's a journey because of the fact that, you know, you go there, you experience this thing, and then you have to come back and acclimate in as the 3D reality. So I'm going to share one of my experiences that was in April, I want to say 2022, and we decided to do a mega dose of mushrooms that day. I think mine was like 7 or 8 grams. Now, I remember when 3 was like a big deal, because for me, mushrooms are very visceral. You feel the vibrations in your body versus, say, LSD, which is more mental. Not that you can't feel things, but both of them, what I love, and this is where I came to the conclusion that we're not the body, we're all of this, we're all of the substances. And I got to experience that kind of conscious creation, being one with the wood and the curtains and the plants, because you start to see them come to life. They start to move because in the knowing, in the experience, in the assumption of taking a substance or doing breath work, that it's going to alter the reality that you're in. Even when you're doing spins, I've talked about this before, that when you do a high number of spins and you stop, you see the reality move around you. So with this, knowing that everything becomes alive, because once you either do the breath work or the meditation or take the substance, you've transcended the level of reality, the level of thinking, the level of assumption, because even though you may not understand all of what's about to happen, you know it's different. So right away, you have a new assumption that allows you to open up another layer of mind. So as my journey, you know, I always had preferred the LSD over the mushrooms, but eventually I started to love the mushrooms because they were so visceral, and sometimes a combination of both. But on this day, it was end of April, I believe, and it was a cool day, but warm if the sun was out. So there's a playground I've talked about, the magical playground down at the park. And what I've learned is when I do mushrooms, I need to be active versus, you know, being more chilled on LSD. So I start going to the park and I'm walking around the circle. And the thing that I realized is that when I first start and things are just about to kick in, the playground is hustling and bustling with people, kids and parents on the swings and slides, people skating in the hockey rink, people walking their dogs, sitting at benches and parks. It was full. And maybe within a half hour of just walking around the circle, and I could feel the higher levels of consciousness coming in, because the moment that you go in higher levels of consciousness, it's less noisy, less people. And I'm totally aware of this phenomena that every time I go around, there's less people, but no one ever leaves. To the point where when you really are at that peak point of the trip, there's total stillness. You're the only one that exists and moving around. Everything gets taken back to the basics. So there's no, if I would say, like, it's total neutrality, where the colors of cars are black and white, gray, all your primary colors, your blue, red, whatever the other one is, I can't think of, yellow. You're not going to see an orange car. You're not going to see any combination colors. It goes solely back to the basic template, where a moment before there might have been 50 people at the park, and just like a snap, they're all gone. And nobody got in cars and drove away, or you see them walking away. So you see yourself walking around a very similar template, the park, but as you go around the circle each time, you're going into a higher level of reality that coexists at that park at that time, till it's very, very silent and it's just you. And you feel like you're the only one in the world. Now, another way I've also explored, and I'm going to tie this in with this here, is also through lucid dreaming, through astral projection. So and that goes back even further to like 2006 in this reality. That when I would go lucid in a dream, and you learn not to get yourself kicked out, that it has a certain feel to it. It's almost like you can feel you're in your subconscious mind and the layers of the reality and the construct. It has a certain feel that we don't feel here, because once again, even though I didn't take a substance in my lucid dream, there's an understanding that I'm not in the baseline physical reality. I'm more conscious in the lucid dream than I am during the day here. And that changes, but initially. So I could feel it. So I remember the one time, and I'll come back to that mushroom trip, we were doing an LSD trip and we were walking around the park at night. And I said to my partner, I feel like I'm in my dream state, because this trip right now feels like a lucid dream. And in my lucid dreams, I always feel like I'm in a bubble or a dome. Like I can feel that I'm in some type of enclosed reality. And it felt strange, because it was the first time ever during a trip that I had a feeling that I was already familiar with lucid dreaming. So then I started to connect the dots. What if this was all just different versions of lucid dreaming? Again, once again, lucid dreaming, going to sleep at night into the dream, where I could go into a dream through now a substance. So, interesting. So going back to the one I was doing it in that April, some people started to come back, because I asked them to come back because I wanted to observe them. So there was like a grandmother, and maybe there was like 4 or 5 little girls that she was watching. And there was a few other people. My mind didn't inundate me, because the thing that I started to realize, I went in the center of the park. There's where the playground equipment is. There's bathrooms, like a stone building with bathrooms. And then there's, when you come out of the bathroom, there's like the parking lot, but it comes to a circle so that you can kind of go around the circle if you have to drop stuff off and then go back to the parking lot. And I came out, I had to go to the bathroom. I went in the bathroom and came out. And maybe I was in there 2 or 3 minutes, but time is totally diluted and warped when you're that high in consciousness, that all of a sudden, the same grandmother, it was like she had different clothes on. And now, instead of all the girls being blonde, there was a couple blonde ones and a couple dark-haired girls. But it looked like no one had moved, because again, she was in the same spot, but she had different clothes on. And I'm like, oh, the magic portal, right? Go into the bathroom. I left one reality and I came out with one that was very similar. And what I realized at that layer of mind is, because my mind was not aware how lucid I was, because when you're in your everyday reality, moving around in the 3D world, your subconscious knows when you're unconscious as the character, and then you have cognitive dissonance. You come out, you have a question, you're questioning reality. The more you question your reality, the more conscious and aware you become in that moment, and you can go right back into the story and become unconscious again. So I realized that my mind doesn't understand. It knows that I'm tripping, but it doesn't understand at what level of awareness, because there's a certain point where I call you get kicked out into the vortex, where you're just in this creator mode. It's like robotic, but robotic loving, like no emotion exists because it's not needed. There's that clear, like if you've ever watched higher dimensional movies or whatever, like there's just that level of clarity and certainty. So as I'm seeing, and I'm looking around, and now the playground equipment looks different, but it was close enough. It was close enough. So it made me realize how much my mind is initially rendering things in real time. And it was really the first time I understood simultaneous time from an experience standpoint, that my mind knows that I'm in a playground, but it's searching my versions of it. And that playground had been redone a couple times since I've been here, new equipment, kind of flooring, the little water park was changed. It was trying, so it was kind of like piecemealing some of the old versions together to give me the idea that I'm at the park playground, but not the one that it should have been. And I'm starting to realize I can feel my mind trying to render for me And I knew my job was not to get excited, not to get upset, just to observe and allow everything to be. So I had this thought of, well, what if I kept going in and out of the bathroom? What would happen? So I just observed, and I really took a good look at the houses and the street, and things were so off. Hills were where they shouldn't be, and stop signs were, there was multiple ones. Like, it was just like, okay, we need stop signs. Let's just put a whole, and it didn't make sense for three of them to be in a row. So I'm seeing that my mind is kind of glitching, because when there's a glitch, your mind's not aware of how aware you are, and it's trying to gauge by your interaction and reaction in the now moment. So I go back in and I stay in a little bit longer this time, and I'm deep breathing, and I'm doing the best I can not to try to impress out there of what I expect to see, because I'm curious to be the observer. And I'm at the point now where there's no thought. Like, at this level of consciousness of no thought, when you first go to get there, it feels like you will die. Because again, it's like a gatekeeping level, that if you want to go and explore the next level of reality of your mind, that if you're fearful, that's not going to serve you there. So it's almost like when you leave thought behind, you leave all those lower emotions of grief and frustration and sadness and guilt and shame, because they all come through thought. So again, through many different explorations of consciousness, I call it the realm of thought, no thought. Like, there's thought, but it's simultaneous, and you're aware that you're perceiving, observing, experiencing, and rendering. Like, it's all happening now, because at that level of consciousness, you're really still. Even though you're moving around, your mind is still, your mind is clear. And another way that I've explored that especially is water only fasting. My longest water fast, only water and air for 21 days, has been my longest one. So that's usually around day 7 or 8 where that kind of level of consciousness comes in, because you've transcended the physical needs of the body, knowing that you're not a body. Whole other video. So I come back out this time and I look around, and I guess because I had a thought that all the girls were blonde before, now there's more blonde girls, but not as many as there were the first time. Grandmom's wearing something different. The color of the bench has changed, because now I realize, oh yeah, the benches used to be this color, now they're this color. And I go to look where the oval to drive around and drop things off in the parking lot, and it's totally gone now. And what my mind decided to do was put squares of grass. So if my mind broke everything down into a square and it was a puzzle, the way that it put it, it wasn't like a beautiful like square lawn. It was things put in the wrong spot, like those little square things that went when I was a kid, and you had to make the picture and you move all the squares around, but they're all messed up and you got to figure out how to manipulate them. That's what it looked like. It made me laugh, because at this point, I can feel my mind trying to work hard, my consciousness trying to work hard to want to keep me safe in what I'm experiencing, so I can get the experience that I want to get. And I couldn't feel sad or scared or nervous, because I was beyond that level of consciousness. So what this taught me was that in this now moment, there's layers of the character and consciousness. And as we explore higher consciousness, or the inner me, this is all happening within me. I'm just aware that everything is me pushed out. And I probably went in and out of that bathroom 5 more times. At every single time I came out, it was rearranged in a different way. Clothes were changed, the equipment was changed. And I allowed it to be, because it was this beautiful phenomena that I was seeing how well loved I was. Sometimes I did it real short, in and out, and other times I was in for a minute or two, or what felt like that to me, and then came back out. And what I also noticed was my mind wasn't sure where I was going to focus or for how long. So the kids' faces and the grandmother, if you've ever used AI to create pictures and you give it a prompt, like if I said, give me 5 kids around the age of 8 sitting in a semicircle, playing with toys, and I give that prompt to the AI and it spits out 3 different pictures, I have to really take a look. Like, do they have extra fingers? Are their faces distorted? Because sometimes on that first glance, it looks absolutely fine. I've done that a couple times on my videos where I've used AI pictures, and it wasn't until after I put the video up, the kids look a little, or the people look a little distorted, or there's an extra finger. You can even see in the unicorn video from the other day that the unicorn has 2 horns. And I left that up there for cognitive dissonance. That was intentional, because I couldn't get one that would render with just 1 horn, even though I was asking for one. So I started to notice now, because I knew after a couple times of just things being in the wrong place and things shifting and changing clothes and so forth, I realized every time I go in and I come back out, I'm in a new reality. But this time I started to focus more on looking at the individuals, which I don't think my mind thought I was going to do, because it didn't, their faces were off, or they were talking, but the lips weren't moving. Like, there was that kind of level of cognitive dissonance, because my mind was so busy trying to put things in the proper space that it didn't know what I was going to focus on. So things were really glitchy. And it made me realize in everyday life that that's how well it knows us. That's how well, as we're walking around as this human being in this 3D reality, our level of expectation is being rendered and pushed out for us. Because the whole idea is, no matter if we're at a high level of consciousness, doesn't matter how you got there, or you're in an everyday regular experience, our mind wants us to feel safe in the environment that we're in, so that we can experience the assumption that we're playing out. So what I have realized from these experiences is that when I would go up in these higher consciousnesses, again, doesn't matter which way I got there, I could feel myself when I'm coming back in. And even if it was just through a really long, deep meditation, I never rush back to words or thinking. I want to stay in that state in the physical 3D world, bringing that 5D to 3D as long as I can, because you see the changes that happened. You start to notice the little things that were moved or there or not there. And this goes beyond manifestation being a parlor trick, or making something appear that's not there. And that's why I can sit here with conviction and tell you that you're always getting your assumptions. But when you go and you make a choice, and this is your choice, you have to sit in that level of knowing. When I would go up into those higher realms, and gatekeepers would show up, entities or clowns would show up, and it may take me 3 or 4 times to get there, to stay conscious enough to not forget to tell them to move. I am the I am, move. This is really going into that I am, because I want the next level of consciousness. When I was at that, it wasn't even the words, because a couple of times I got there and said the words, but I got laughed at. And it was a little confusing. Again, cognitive dissonance, boom, sent back down. But when I realized that the I am has a certain feel to it, that whatever the mind creations are, they know. They know. So in going up and absorbing that energy and the reality and perspective, that's why when I teach my more advanced clients and students, it's not about the words. It's about absorbing that energy at that level, so that when you come into the mind construct, or you come into the physical 3D template, there's a level of certainty that you are the I am, because everything, even those trips and higher consciousness, is happening within my consciousness. It's how aware am I as to what's going on? How comfortable and certain am I? Because in those higher levels, there is no doubt and negative emotions when you stay out of thought. And even at that higher level, I don't even say the word move. It's like the energy that goes with the word move. Like, in the Moses story, what did he take his staff and slam it on the ground, like boom, and the Red Sea parted? It's really that level of conviction. Because I always say the devil is in the details. And if we were to look at, say, religion and the demiurge, or what people will call the devil, it's thought. It's the realm of thought. Because in order for there to be lack, in order for you are all of, you're everything. So in order to experience lack, you have to be the whole thing, because it's the contrast, right? If I order a pizza and there's 8 slices, and I go down and open up the box and there's 6, I know 2 are missing because I know what the whole is. So when you know yourself as the whole, you can create lack experiences for yourself until you wake up in the story of being unconscious to say, oh, I've been playing this cosmic joke on myself that I am everything. And you start to realize, in order to create lack, you have to have thought, because the now moment is the all. All of your consciousness is right here, right now. This is all of reality for you, that your subconscious mind is now rendering for you to have a physical 3D experience. And what you're aware of is what you're aware of. Okay, I'm aware of a physical template. So then where can I deepen and expand my awareness is, who am I? I am in a physical template, but I'm also in another physical template, but that one isn't rendering yet because it needs my conscious awareness. So if and this is the whole, you're in Barbados, if Neville's in New York and he wants to be in Barbados, as he's moving around the New York template, he's experiencing Barbados within himself. So I started to realize that it doesn't matter what the physical template is. This is, if I were to win the Mega Millions and I discovered my ticket today was the winning ticket, I'm still in this template that I was when I wasn't the winner. The template is the space, it's the temple for the unfolding, the safe unfolding of what it is that you want to experience. And it comes down to, who am I? And allowing myself to explore consciousness. It's not because of some words on a book or a video on YouTube. I want you to have the experiences that I have. And that's why I give everything I got to these videos and offer 2-day events and working with me one-on-one, because nothing you want is in the thinking mind. Every character, every version of you has a thinking mind, and every character version is different. So every time I would come out of that bathroom in that trip, I realized I was looking out of the eyes of a different Dede. The playground looked like similar, but it wasn't the same. Literally, it wasn't the same playground, because my mind still couldn't figure out where to put all the parts and pieces. So to have that experience of a reality that I walk around in almost every day and allow my mind to shift it around differently, it shows me that none of this is solid, none of this is real, but it's all really here for my imagination and my benefit. And the reason why it keeps rendering is because I haven't flooded my consciousness with a different physical template. So because the template will stay solid, I can flood my consciousness with other things I want to add to the template. Everything adds on to you. And that's what we're doing here. So if you would like to explore this 3D reality and your mind and the layers of your mind, not even the 3D realities, layers of your mind, on September 7th and 8th, I'm having another 2-day event. And on day 1, we're going to explore the subconscious through 0 point and deep relaxation and meditation to shedding the character, the 3D you. And then on the second day, we're going to bring the conscious mind in and script the reality so that once we got the 0 point and we come out, we know which reality that we're now in. Even though you're in it right now, when you bring the 2 minds together, because you're the super consciousness, if you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind, you're a super consciousness, because everything that you're aware of is within you. So you're bigger than it. You're the container that, you're the globe that holds, because you're the all, and there's nothing outside of you or you wouldn't be the all. So if you want to explore consciousness with us, you want to be in that 2-day event, and all the information is in the description box below. I look forward to you signing up. Sign up now. You make an investment in yourself for that event, and then I reinvest it right back in you. And I want you to know that there's nothing to be afraid of, that this realm of no thought, of pure existence, of being the observer, of no judgment, of no labels, is so powerful and mind-blowing that when that is what you want to experience versus the money versus the SP, that's where manifestation gets really simple and easy, because you're exploring yourself. You're getting closer to that I am. You're pulling yourself out of your behaviors and your thoughts and your patterns. And you hear teachers say, go into the I am. But I'm going to tell you from what I've experienced so far, and I'm probably about 4 or 5 layers up, but I know there's infinite layers, because the more and more you pull out of the character and the physical 3D reality, the more vast it becomes, and it looks less like this. And then you can go and pick other realities to explore. And when your assumption is that no matter where you're exploring, you're always going to come back here. Because it was really interesting, if I go back to my dreams and I realized that every time I would die in a dream, I would wake up here, it made me realize that even though here today seems like a continuation of yesterday, it's a whole brand new dream. That when you wake up in the morning, it's so unconditioned. It's like you just walked out of that bathroom in the playground, and you got a template that looks very, very familiar. And you could put anything on it the moment, right? As I was at the playground a little bit more, sometimes I'd go into the bathroom and come out and say, I want no people. And I'd come out and there would be no one there. Like, and then I go back in and I want like 20 people, when before there was maybe 7 or 8. So you get to see how quickly in those higher states, and because your mind is always searching for your input, your choice to give it to you, it gave it to me very quickly. And the more I let it off the hook about things not being in the proper place, or people not wearing the same clothes that they did the last time I saw them, the more that started to settle down too, and become more and more consistent as this whole process was going on. So I wanted to share today really what my experiences have been. I know it's kind of in a nutshell. I know it's very exciting and mind-blowing to hear about these experiences. And I really feel it was a great gift that I gave to my characters and all my versions of self, because I'm never going to stop exploring consciousness. And that's why I say to you, it's not about the money. It's not about the SP. It's not about the house. Because the more you explore this I am, and you understand this power that it is that you're connected to and you're directing down here, the more you go into those higher levels and absorb that, and then come down here in 3D reality, what was instant when I walked out of that bathroom during that trip, that level of conviction, when I'm here in this reality and I command the reality, it's very rare that it's less than 24 hours. It may not be, I know it's instant, but coming down into the denser physical reality, you feel that sense of time delay, but it's really not a time delay, because there's no longer an urgency, because you're not technically in any clock and calendar time until you start to engage with something. And the more you engage with reality, your mind takes wherever you are and fulfills your assumption there. So thank you guys for choosing this community chosen video. You're powerful beyond belief. And your imagination, when I talk about imagination, I really can't stress enough, it's not about the words. Stay out of language, stay out of the words. Go into the essence, go into the visuals, the feels. If you're not a visual, then go into the feels. But tell yourself you are a visual, and you will become a visual, right? The only reason why you might not get visuals right now is you have a story that says that you're not. So why condition yourself that way? And keep your questions coming, keep your suggestions coming. I wish for you to find the peace within yourself that I have found during all this exploration, It's been mind-blowing. It's better than any physical trip that I've ever been on the physical planet. And again, it doesn't matter what vehicle you get there, breath, water fasting, mushrooms, LSD, DMT, doesn't matter. What matters is who are you as you're in the experience and what level of conviction and certainty. And sometimes the experience brings you the awareness, but once you have the awareness, it can't be taken from you. It takes a whole lot to make you go that level of unconscious like that you once been. All right, guys, if you like this video, check out your screen. There's another amazing video created just for you. Until next time, enjoy. Happy manifesting.